As you can tell by my private lesson student trackers, I am a man who loves to check a box. And so that's why I wanted to create a video where I share with you 8 different ways to track your martial arts training and set goals so that you can have that rewarding feeling of seeing yourself progress by checking box after box off. So I'm going to share these 8 ways, and I hope that one of them maybe fits you and inspires you in your martial arts training to get more training in starting now. Goal number 1 is to earn a new rank. Now, I'm not wanting you to confuse this with just chasing after belts, but it can be a fun way to track your training if you talk to your coach and see if the martial art that you're training in offers ranking and what it takes to get to that next rank. And then you can set stair-stepping goals to get to that next rank. Goal number 2 is to compete. Talk to your coach about what it takes to compete, what his expectations are, and when the next competition is that he thinks you'd be ready for, and ask him to help you design a training routine to be ready. Goal number 3 is to set a body composition goal. Now that means either a weight loss goal or a muscle gain goal. And one of the best ways to track this is through getting a DEXA scan, which you can usually get for somewhere around $50. Basically, you lay in what's like a human-sized copy machine. They go like this, and they give you a readout showing exactly how much muscle and fat you have. And if you do one of these every 4 to 6 months, you can start to track your body's composition progress. Goal number 5 is to set a development goal. Now this is where we get into the beauty of having phones where we can record ourselves at the drop of a hat. What you can do is set a goal around, say, keeping your hands up during an entire round. You set your phone up, you record yourself hitting the bag for a round or hitting mitts or even sparring, and then go back and count the amount of times that your hands drop or the amount of time that you go with your hands down or whatever it is that you set your goal around. And then a week or a month later, re-record yourself and do the same thing. Compare it to the first video. Goal number 5 is to keep a training journal. Set a goal to fill an entire training journal over the course of the year so that you can go back and see everything you've learned. This is going to help you with retention. It's also going to help you start to think through things, and you're going to uncover a lot of lessons that your coach didn't teach you, but that your brain just sort of figured out on its own as you drew or wrote out what you learned. And in fact, a little bonus tip is do this for your sparring as well. Goal number 6, the 20-hour rule. We've all heard that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. However, according to the author of the book, The First 20 Hours, it takes only about 20 hours to become proficient enough at something to find it enjoyable and to be better than most people at it. So pick a skill and see how quickly you can log 20 hours or get 20 classes in as quickly as possible. By the way, I've included a link in the description to the author's TED Talk on the same topic. Goal number 7, my 150 classes goal. The average student trains about 3 times a week for 1 hour. That's 150 hours a year. Knowing this, I like to see how many times I can lap that many hours in a given year. So if I train 300 hours in a year, then I've essentially trained 2 years worth of the average student's training. It's a weird way that my mind works, but it gets me excited to push and get those little extra bits of training, even an extra 15 minutes so I can count it. I have a little sheet that I keep track of the amount of time I train, and I will put that extra 15 minutes in every time I do it. Goal number 8, a rep or a round goal. Pick a technique or a combination and commit to getting X number of reps or X number of rounds on it. After every session, check off how many reps or how many rounds you got until you reach your goal. I actually got this idea from Burton Richardson, who has worksheets like this, where you have to do 100 rounds of different sparring drills, and you have to do 100 reps of a few different techniques. And I like that. And so I do that with my own training. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are my 8 goals for martial arts training. I hope one of them fits you. Now, I want to leave you with one final note, and that is set goals that are within your control. Let me tell you a little story. When I first started boxing, I would get my butt kicked. And if I went in to sparring with the goal of trying to beat the other person, I would have gotten discouraged right away because I felt helpless against a handful of the guys that I would spar. And so what I did to protect my wee little ego and to help me learn was I would set goals around things like what I mentioned earlier, keeping my hands up or keeping my head constantly moving. And I would record the spar. And when I would go home, I would watch it. I won in my head if the entire time my head was moving. Even if it was moving partly because it was getting bopped around by the other guy. If my head was always moving, then I won. If, however, even if I did better than the person, if I was static and my head wasn't moving, then I lost. So I could win or lose every spar based completely on my decisions. It was 100% in my control versus going in and saying I win if I beat the person or I lose if they beat me, which I don't have full control over that. And with that, I wish you the best with your training. Set those goals and start crushing them and see how good you get over the next 6 months, 6 years, 600 years, maybe with AI going the way it is. Maybe we'll live forever by the time we get old enough. Anyway, if you don't have a structure in place and you need some help with training, I have a free course for you. It is a Jeet Kune Do Kickboxing Starter Kit. And you can find a link in the description. If I can put it on the video, I will. It includes a 30-minute tutorial on Jeet Kune Do, over 20 follow-along heavy bag workouts with me, and our gym's Fit Warrior Challenge, which is a 21-day challenge providing you the structure you need for regular working out and good nutrition, as well as other lifestyle goals. So get started on that, start setting your goals, start crushing them, and let's get you rocking and rolling. Bye.